Yvonne, thank you so much for joining me today and for spending time with us on our podcast. Of course, you are the founder and chief editor of Travel Essence magazine. We've done a little bit of work together.
Yeah.
What you do is amazing. Let me start with that.
Thank you.
A young lady from Zimbabwe,
Yes.
originally.
Originally from Zimbabwe, born and raised.
Yes.
And then I have been a citizen of the fast evolving world, I think, since 18. That's when I left Zim.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when I left Zim off to uni
Yes.
in the US. And then it's just been adventure since.
So let's go back a little bit before we go forward. So you're in Zim. I'm South African, so we share some African heritage, which is great. How does a young African lady or a young Zimbabwean woman say, I'm done? Did you study journalism?
Actually. So my life is a bit of a mosaic of, like I said, adventure. You know, I was raised by some really cool parents that they've always taught us to soar. I'm the older child of 3 children and I'm the only girl.
Okay.
And so there was never a limit. I think they grew up in very humble, meager beginnings.
Yes.
You know, my dad was in the village. My mom was, she grew up in town, but it was it wasn't easy.
Yes.
So I think my folks poured all their dreams into wanting that for us.
Okay.
So every aspect of how I've seen my life there's always in the back of my mind a front row seating into what it was like for my parents, the dream arc. They got married very young. They were probably like 19, 20, I think, at the time.
Okay.
So there's a 20-year gap between my mom and dad and I, which is not that much.
You grew up together?
Yeah, we grew up together. And, I grew up around their siblings in the house. They were the older kids, and there were lots of siblings. So the aunts and uncles to me were in the house. So it was always everybody's pushing. Somebody's in school, the parents are sending somebody to school, some people through school.
Sure.
There was always that big sense of community and family, and we're going to get out.
Amazing.
We're gonna make this thing work.
So they communicated ambition to you from I guess no limits, as you said.
Yeah. My dad, they didn't have any university degrees. My dad got into banking.
Okay.
Started at like zero, right? My mom went into nursing because my granny worked in the hospital in the town. And they kind of just worked with their hands and their minds and went from being a clerk or whatever the entry level position in banking for my dad is, or for nursing for my mom, into building brick by brick. Like I see them, and everything that they've achieved and what they have has been brick by brick.
Incredible.
So I find myself, I really feel I'm very, very privileged to have witnessed that, because I've seen the grit. So that grit in them, when things kind of fall apart and they come together and they build back up, that has always been how I look at things. Like, okay, if it falls apart, we can build this thing again. Yeah,
and that's why you, I guess, say that front row seat to witnessing it, and you can always have that to fall back on in terms of your mentality.
Right.
It's very fortunate. I mean, that's a good foundation to have as a young lady in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
What does your route out of Zimbabwe look like at 18?
Yeah, so I went to, like I said, they really aspired for the best for us.
Yes.
So it was putting all the resources.
Were you encouraged to leave? Were you?
No, it was just a choice. When I was coming up, my parents we were a host family for a lot of American students that would come into the university campus that was down the road from where we lived.
Yeah.
So I would grow up with students that were coming 3-6 months out of the year that were coming on exchange programs.
Wonderful.
So that was our first, I guess, interaction with different cultures or diversity of cultures.
Okay, so you were globally minded from a young age.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
very fortunate.
Yeah, it's when you're growing up in Zim, it's not nearly like Dubai, which is very, very multicultural and very diverse in different nationalities and all of that.
I can relate to
you
that.
are, it's Zimbabweans from this part of Zim and that part of Zim. And maybe you've got the diplomat kids or, parents that are working with the NGOs. And there's that one child from, I don't know, Botswana, that one from Zambia, that one maybe from, I don't know, the UK.
Sure.
But we were all, doesn't matter the race, you're Zimbabwean, whether you're of Indian heritage, black, white, was that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that whole thrust to go to abroad was just inspired by that exchange. It went on for multiple years, where every year we would have students in our homes, and because we are a host family, their parents or their families would want to know who is looking after our children, right?
Sure.
So that became, we would love for you to come over to the US for holidays.
Okay.
So our first international trip as a family was when I was 15.
Okay.
That was the first time, and we spent 6 weeks. I think my parents put all their savings for donkey years together for us to go on that trip. So we spent some time in Europe, and then we spent some time in the US. Okay. And that was when my eyes really were, okay, there's a whole world outside of our borders, like a whole world that is so far removed from ours.
Sure.
And that was kind of where it was like, okay. And because there were students, they will take you through their campuses where they went to school. So I got a little bit of that insights into a flavor for that. And then it was, if you want to go, you can. I was a high achiever as well in school.
Good.
So I wrote my SATs quite early on. Mm-hmm. I first got accepted into an American university at 16.
Wow.
I was very young. So it was a collective, she's too young to go. Okay. And I was okay with that. Yeah. I just think
Were you ready to go at that stage, or?
No, I don't think I knew what it was or what it meant. Yeah, you know what I mean? It was like, you're going to school in America. You know, I didn't really I don't think I actually understood what it was. Okay. But when I did finally go after I wrote my A-level exams, I was like, let's do this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You had a taste and you wanted to go again. So you then go to the US to study.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So how long are you in the US studying?
Total, I went to school for about 2 years, and then I had to take a detour because my dad lost his job back home. Okay. And as international students, you know, obviously you can't work and do all of this.
Understood. Yeah.
That's when the mindset of grit kicked into form. Yeah. Because all of a sudden it's money's coming from home. I can change apartments. I can do this. I can do that. To there's no money, and it actually fell in when I left the US is when everything did the downturn in Zim around that 2000
sure. I remember
period.
It well.
Yeah. So it just was a shock to the system, and then you realize, no one is coming. So,
the Zim, I mean, the currency took a knock. Everything took a knock at that stage. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So that was when I kind of switched into, okay, I have to survive.
So you have to essentially do a 180.
A 180.
Go back.
No, there was no going back.
You didn't go back?
I didn't go back. I think I came twice to Zim for holidays while I was still in school. Okay. And then when my parents actually took a flight to come and tell me what had happened with my dad's job.
That's very nice.
So it was like, we're not going to give her a shock over the phone. We're going to go. So they came.
Sit you down.
Yes. She's like, oh, so see, honey. About those little monies that come in. No, right? Okay. So it was okay. And then there was a couple of people, obviously you build a community around yourself, and you could see there was some people that come into school and then they have to drop out and all of that. And then you kind of learn the ropes of how to work. So typical thing is just, okay, most people start in retail. You start off folding jeans in the Gap and all of that.
Essentially you went, I need to make money.
I need to survive.
Yeah.
I need to survive.
I need to be as independent as I can, as quickly as I can.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So retail's the first step.
It's the easiest one. There's no one asking you for how many certificates you have, whatever. So now all of a sudden you're folding jeans and get Gap and learning how to do the multi-fold t-shirt
and you're still
thing.
in the States at that stage.
I'm still in the States, yeah. So total time spent in the States was about 7 years.
Good innings.
Yeah. It was 7 years. But in that season, I transitioned from retail and working the long hours on my feet and realizing, okay, I enjoy what I do. And I grew quite quickly. I went into management within my first 3 months. Yes. So it was like, okay, she's really good and she's good with people. Okay. So I got promoted. Yeah. I got promoted quickly on. Worked a couple years, but then I felt like I just felt like it was just never enough. Sure. Like you're working these long hours and it's like minimum wage. And if you get a promotion, it's like $7.50 an hour. Yeah. And I was like, this is, So then I decided to put myself through real estate school.
Wow.
Yeah. So I would work during the day and then I would take the classes at night. Okay. And then I got my certification. It took me about 3 to 6 months to get that done. I got my certification and then I remember coming in and saying, I'm going to resign now because I've got my certificate now. I'm going to go into real estate. Yeah. And that took a while to get in because you have a certificate, but you've never sold real estate. Yeah. Right. So that was the transition for me. That's how I got into property and I got into sales and marketing in a bigger scale. It was not jeans anymore. It was brick and mortar.
Sure. Which is tangible and it's a big pivot. I mean, especially mentally.
Yes.
So you went into the real estate sector in the US, right? How long did you spend in the sector there?
Probably a total of about 3 years because then the subprime market crash happened. If you remember the big crash.
Okay, you were there during the crash.
I was there. I made the decision to come back in 2007 January, and the crash had just
actually followed. It coming?
Yes and no.
Because I mean, I would think, based on what I've seen in terms of that transition to the crash, it was good times before that, right?
You know, when you're young,
yeah.
Sheldon, I was young and I was making silly amounts of money. Like those commission checks were everything. Knowing what I know now, with that money I was making then, I could have made some different moves.
With the ease of finance, in terms of, I mean, my goodness.
Yes, it was a really good setup that I had because I was working for a real estate company that was niche in that it was catering to first-time homeowners with sketchy credit.
Yes.
But then the the mortgage company or the loan origination firm was the parent company. So we just find the client and then we get the...
So it was basically a model for subprime lending.
Yes,
essentially.
Exactly.
Which was a lot of the reason that caused
the crash.
Okay, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I, for me, I didn't really understand what.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it was look, we've got numbers. You come into the office, there's a big board that says that there's a leaderboard. You know how it is in that world where you're selling, right?
Yeah.
There's a leaderboard, and it's like, oh, okay, Yvonne closed yesterday, such and such. Tim closed last week.
Bell.
Peter, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's driving fancy little cars. We're going all of that.
What a time!
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
I got a taste of the good life.
Of course. Yeah.
And then I had a car accident somewhere in between. And then I just felt I was just tired. I was tired of just the going.
Yeah.
I felt like I needed to come back home.
Okay.
So I started the transition into coming back home, and it was usually anchored around my brother, the brother after me. He needed to finish his studies.
Okay.
So for him to study, I needed to be there because I was, supporting him and all of that. So once he graduated, I was like, okay, now it's time for me to start making that move. Yeah, so he graduated and I thought, okay, it's time. I've done my bit here.
Yeah.
It's time for us to go back home.
Yes.
He didn't want to stay. He wanted to go back home anyway.
Okay.
So it was easy for me to make that transition. So as soon as I remember arriving on the 27th of January, 2007 at the Harare International Airport. And I think like 2 or 3 weeks later, the headlines started coming on the news about the subprime crash.
Unbelievable timing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And you see the thing is with things like that, it's kind of like the pandemic, right?
Absolutely.
1 minute we're just going about our business, the next minute there's a whole thing happening.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're back now. This is probably a huge fast forward, but how do you get into what you're in now? Travel Essence.
The media space.
What does that look like?
Spent a couple years at home. I get home, I think in my head, I was doing great in real estate in the US, so I should be able to kind of transition with that same with the same grit and whatnot.
Yeah.
Obviously, the landscape is completely different. Back home, people live in the same house for like 30, 50 years.
Yeah.
So no one is moving real estate like that,
of course.
Right? And there was not much by way of development and all of these new builds and stuff happening. So it was just, for me, not something that I just couldn't see it.
Yeah.
So I remember asking myself, Yvonne, what do you want to do? What next now?
Sure.
What's next? You've got a lot of the people that you left behind have also gone on and moved abroad and whatever. So you have to start, making new friends. You have to start figuring out where you sit, you know. And it was a tough transitionary period for me, I think. I really, really struggled. And I think where I found my footing was, I said to myself, I want to work where it doesn't feel like work, and I want to work in pretty spaces. It was very clear.
Okay.
I literally said, I want to work in a space that is pretty, and I don't want it to feel like I'm in a cubicle with no window and there's no sunlight or anything.
Yeah.
So I started looking for jobs in hospitality.
Okay.
And it took a minute to get that because, again, remember the economy in Zim was shot. And a lot of people would say, you'd go in for interviews and they would say stuff like, you can't hack it. You've been away for so long. Everything has changed.
So you were looking in Zim, in the sector in Zim.
Yeah, because I was back home, right?
You would think they would be pro someone that had
that
experience.
No, it was very hard to integrate. It was very hard because you have that mentality of, well, you left and things have been hard. So what makes you think you can come back and just, you know what I mean? So that was a bit of a, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wound up later, probably about 8 months after arriving, finally got a job offer that took me to Victoria Falls.
Okay, beautiful.
So that's when I got into the destination marketing space.
Okay.
Yeah, I was working for one of the main hospitality chains in Zim.
Yes.
And got right into marketing and just found my footing. It was a small little town. Vic Falls is like a little resort town.
Beautiful,
it's
wonderful.
gorgeous. And life was just different. It was just quiet. It's nature, and it just brought me all the way down to what matters.
Yes.
I loved it there. It was a really pivotal moment. I think everybody has those moments that are pivotal to their lives. And for me, that 1 year that I spent in Victoria Falls was that.
Yeah, you can feel when you're in the right space. I mean, you intuitively know that. So that's, if you're fortunate enough to get that feeling, I agree. You know when you know, for sure.
Yeah, so it was good. It was good for me. And got a job offer to come to Dubai.
Okay, what year is this?
This is now 2008.
Okay, now it gets interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Got a job offer to come out here.
Yeah.
Obviously, 2008 and now so different. I was stationed in Fujairah.
Okay.
And I was like, yo.
What's going on? Yeah.
What's going on here?
2008 Fujairah must have been interesting.
Yeah, it was Alaka Beach. It was there's a Rotana there.
Yes,
there's
correct.
a couple of like
there's
3 or 4
address on the corner.
address. That wasn't even there at the
I
time.
would imagine
Yeah,
not.
it was like a little strip of like Sandy Beach Hotel, I think. There was something like a JA.
What's the rock? Snoopy Rock or whatever it's called.
The little rock in the water. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I was like, no.
So you land first time in the UAE.
Yeah.
You land in Fujairah.
Yes. I had an interview
Okay.
in Dubai, so you
In
see the lights.
2008.
And they're like, oh, this is Dubai. This is that. I went to the HQ. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And then they're like, yeah, but you're going to be stationed in Fujairah. I said, oh, okay. So I'm thinking,
Wonderful.
it's like, oh, great. And then I get there and I'm like,
yeah.
what is this, though?
Okay, so what is? So you think this is different?
This is
To be
different.
kind.
I was like, okay, this is a lot. And then I went
So
back
how long
home.
you went back home again?
3 months, 4 months.
So Fujairah straight back to Zim again.
I went back to Zim.
Okay,
Yeah.
but what was the sector you in? Your travel sector?
I
when you
was in
came?
hospitality, yeah.
In hospitality.
Yeah, but marketing.
Okay.
Marketing,
Okay, so back to Zim again. Now obviously we met through Travel Essence, your editorial,
Yes.
which is amazing.
Yes.
Now you had that. When did that emerge? When did that start?
That emerged. So Travel Essence magazine is a COVID baby.
Okay.
But prior to that, I then came back to the UAE and life had changed. Obviously, I was now
When did you come
newly
back?
married. 2012.
Okay.
Yeah. Newly married.
Yeah.
Two little kids.
Great.
We make the move to Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
I'm
Was that initial move for work again? Was it?
Yes, it was. It was work. It was work. My husband at the time was working.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's when our chapter started in Abu Dhabi. And
Okay.
life was very different. So I've always been a working woman.
Of course.
So the whole expat life bit, we got a taste of that because we did do a 3-year stint in Zambia before we came to the UAE.
Okay.
And look, I think to be the expat wife where you're the babies and all of that,
Sure.
it's a special gift in itself.
It is, but when you're an entrepreneurial
You struggle.
I would imagine so.
Yeah, so it was hard for me. I think if I have an honest conversation with myself now, which I always do,
Yes.
were they my best years? They were the best years in that I'm grateful that I was able to spend time with my children in their formative years.
Yeah.
But I feel like there was so much that I wanted to happen for me and I couldn't.
Yeah, look, we interview a lot of women in Dubai and they generally entrepreneurial or at least have a working spirit.
Yeah.
It's quite a common thread for women of that ilk. You sort of feel it's an honor, but I want to do more.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know how you balance those two things.
It's not easy. It's not
yeah.
easy because there's a part of you that feels a little sensitive about the fact that all of a sudden you're not really
Sure.
making your own money.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like in your union, partnership, whatever you've got going on.
Yeah.
For some people, it is important. And I was raised by parents who always said to me, you should always make your own money. So that was the first time that I felt like I wasn't where I would like to be in that sense.
Yeah.
When I then made the decision to go back into corporate, my son was 18 months old. So as soon as he turned 18 months, I was like, you got to go.
So you're still in Abu Dhabi at that stage,
That
right?
was still in Abu Dhabi. So I got back into corporate and I moved into, I transitioned from, and it wasn't even hospitality. I had gone back and forth working on a couple of family projects at home.
Okay.
And that was just, a little bit of this and that.
Sure,
just
keeping
to
a taste
keep
for it.
things, keeping your mind, moving and seeing what's
Absolutely.
happening. And all. So I was always like that. I'd pack my little kids and we'll go to them, whatever.
Yeah.
And what I came back and I wasn't really sure I wanted to get back into hospitality. I didn't want to do the long hours. I know what those are like.
Fair enough.
I know my kids were little. So I know I didn't want to do that. So I remember actually picking up my phone and going to my go-to guy, which is my dad, and saying, what do you think I should do with everything that's happened?
Yeah.
You know, and he says, you know what? You're really, really good with people. I don't know what PR looks like, but what about give that a shot?
Sure.
So I went straight onto your Gulf Talents and all of these websites looking for PR jobs.
Okay.
Within about a month, I get a call from an agency, which is one of the bigger agencies now in Abu Dhabi and in Dubai.
Yeah.
And they called me for an interview. Did really well. They called me maybe 2 days later. We want to make you an offer. I said, sure. They were like, how much do you want? I said, I didn't even know what I wanted. So I didn't throw. I said, well, just make me an offer.
Sure.
They make an offer, which comes out to like 3 times what I had in my head. So I thought, this is fantastic.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then I just went in, and I went in hard, Sheldon. I tell you, I was like, I'm making up for lost time.
Yeah. Fast forward.
So I was really, really fortunate from a career perspective.
You make your own luck. But
I worked really, really hard, but I was also part of a really great company that really nurtured its people as well.
Amazing.
So that for me was foundationally meant plenty.
Okay, so that kind of, let's call it a springboard for that really was. You were fortunate to be in the UAE or Abu Dhabi at that stage because it was a springboard, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how long did you spend in that corporate?
It was, I did 2.5 years with that company.
2013, 2012?
Yeah, 2013 to like 2015.
Okay.
Spent 2.5 years with that firm, and then I was headhunted and then became head of PR for one of the theme parks on Yas Island.
Wonderful. Yes, we've spoken about this. Yeah.
So that was for me when I really kind of got into the footing of what it is to run PR and comms, because I came from agency. I come from agency side where you're an army. You're going to see a client in your army.
And you're also getting briefed quite heavily.
Yes, and you're multiple clients, and all of a sudden you're in-house. You've got maybe a team of 2 or 3. Yes, you've got agency support.
And you need to control that narrative, which is wow.
Yes, and then you're also working for a global brand. So I was working with the global brand, and that was like, now I really got to see what it takes to build a superior brand. It's not just putting stuff whatever. It's literally really, really carefully crafted, carefully created messaging, and you have to know every detail counts. You can't put that next to that because that goes against our brand values. You can't put that, so all of that for me was a massive classroom.
Okay.
And I was fortunate because I really had great mentors in the space. My senior management were really great about
explain to me. So that's a massive that's a huge bite.
Yeah.
So what I want to know is, in that environment, in that time, you obviously, being what the UAE is, you kind of, there must have been a flavor of nationalities that you work with.
Of course.
So you're kind of extracting information from each of those.
Right.
Were there local were the Emiratis involved in that transition?
Yes, and they were great.
Were they?
Oh my God. I mean, some of the most beautiful people.
Yeah.
Because what I learned about working and having Emirati friends, the hands are and their hearts are like this.
Absolutely.
So my experiences were just beautiful.
Yes.
It was like you're in our country, and our country is your home.
Yes.
And there's a platform for you. So do with it what you will.
Amazing. Because there's a sensitivity to it, but you found it encouraging.
I really enjoyed it. I had really beautiful friends. Wow. If you ask the questions about the culture, they were very open. But I also believe that people are only as open as you are.
That's a good point.
Right?
Yeah.
So for me, and also I think perhaps in my case, because people are my thing, I really am passionate about understanding the people journey and where they come from.
Sure.
I genuinely have had some really wholesome experiences working with people. Okay. And that has been a big push for me to see, different people. We're all motivated to live in the UAE for different reasons.
Absolutely right.
So there's some of us that are looking for that big opportunity for self-actualization.
Sure.
There's some of us that have a big responsibility to take care of family members back home.
Yes.
There's some of us that are just dreamers and mavericks, and we just want to be a part of all of the crazy rush for the next best thing, right? Sure. And then there's some of us that are just like, listen, I just want for stuff to be efficient. It works here. I don't have problems with this,
That's so right.
this
I
and
guess, that. There's a little bit of something for everyone.
Everybody, exactly.
And you can kind of, we see so many different journeys and what that looks like. But what I want to know is, you So you have, I mean, what an incredible journey with Yas. That must have been amazing.
Great,
so you
yeah.
said Travel Essence was a COVID baby.
Yes.
Can you explain that?
Moved to Dubai. And
so you had been in Abu Dhabi for
6
a
years
decade?
now.
Okay.
It's like 6 years now, like 6 years or something. I thought, okay, time
so
for us
why
to
Dubai? Why Abu Dhabi to Dubai?
Because
you wanted to start.
So if I could be very honest, I think the big draw was cost of living started to do its little thing.
Sure.
And Abu Dhabi was significantly more expensive. When the kids start going to school and you now start getting those big school fees bills and all of that, and you have personal goals in terms of how you're managing your monies.
Absolutely.
You know, I think a lot of people make the mistake of coming and thinking, because the bank is throwing credit cards, I should take them all.
Yes.
Because and that. Because I can get a car, I change my car, I should.
Yeah.
So, it was just always a very different mindset for us. It was kind of, we want to just be able to have options.
Yes.
And for you to have options, you have to be liquid. Now, you can't be liquid if you're throwing all your money into rentals.
Money is decision making,
right?
Really. That's what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, there's a lot of new, better builds, more space that's coming up in Dubai for cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last couple of months of me being on Yas, I was actually making the commute.
Wow.
Yeah, because
so you had really made your mind up.
It was like, we're moving to Dubai. We get it, and we got a really, really good deal, much bigger space. Nice. Great schooling and whatever. It kind of balanced out the numbers better.
Good.
And it felt like it was the right time to make that change.
Mm-hmm.
And then COVID hits.
Yes. Yes.
And COVID hits. What was March?
Yeah.
And I had just closed out my contract on Yas Island. So I'm in Dubai. We're in Dubai now. So let's go. Yeah. No, let's not go.
Wow. Okay. Put the brakes on.
Yeah. We're all in the house. We're all going online to see if we can go to Carrefour to buy our tomatoes and all of that.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, so I was in Dubai a little bit during that time. I was also in Europe during that time. I found Dubai's handling of that situation a lot better than the European handling of that situation. So in terms of COVID.
It was brilliant.
So,
it was brilliant. I mean, honestly, it was like, there was COVID, but it was like there was no COVID.
Yeah, it was COVID in its best form, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And when you tell people, I remember, people that needed to travel, and even when I needed to travel, because I then started working for an American company that had operations in Africa, and I was looking after 9 countries.
Yes.
And I had to travel. And to do that, you would have to be, like if I had to be in South Africa, for me to get back into the UAE, I had to spend 10 days in Nairobi.
Sure.
Or 10 days in wherever and whatever. And that's when you really see that the UAE is
miles ahead.
Oh my God. Yeah,
they really were good. So tell me Travel Essence in that time.
I actually, it happened quite organically because I started getting calls from my friends in the industry. Remember I shared that I started off in hospitality and all of that.
Yeah.
Who were talking about how the flights not coming in, how that's impacted the industry.
Yes.
A couple of friends who have small lodges, boutique spaces. We haven't had a single guest in 3 months, Yvonne. We haven't, it's really bad.
Yes.
And
that is organic already. Okay,
yes,
I can see that.
Yes. And then I thought to myself, I always wanted to have a lifestyle magazine.
Yes.
I just wasn't sure what that was gonna look like.
Okay.
So I remember sitting at my dining room table and typing away and saying, hey, I'm thinking about starting a magazine.
Yes.
And I would love to tell you a story.
Yeah.
And I started with 1 email to 10 emails to 20 emails to 30 emails.
Yeah.
My first cover story was the first woman in Zimbabwe to open her own boutique hotel in Victoria Falls. I remember asking her if I could do her story. I have never run a magazine. I've got no analytics. I've got no numbers.
Fair enough.
I haven't done a thing. We're just doing a thing.
Yeah.
But everybody was so, again, relationships and keeping your relationships and knowing how to speak to people and ask for a thing.
Yes.
Everybody was really, really forthcoming.
Okay.
Everyone's really like, yeah, sure. Well, and I'll send a couple of questions and then I would tailor it into an interview or I'll do a Q&A and all of that.
And you were set on doing it from Dubai, right?
100%.
So did you actually then, incorporate a business in Dubai and run it through a registered trade license that you do yourself?
So what I had
How did you find that?
I had actually set up my company before I left corporate. Because there was that wave where they started the free zone wave.
Yes, correct.
Remember the free zone wave where it was like, if you're a women entrepreneur, you can own your business and get a license and all of that. So I jumped right on.
Okay.
And I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it, but I jumped right on. I knew I listed the things that covered my remit as the business license. And it covered everything. It was like really broad. Like the list of services and stuff was like really broad because I was like, I'll figure out as I go. Right. Yeah. And that's how I started. I got somebody reached out to me and it was interesting. The guy on the other side of the phone was working for Rakes and he was Zimbabwean as well.
There we go.
So we connected on that point and he walked me through and I set it up. So it was registered and it sat.
Okay.
And when COVID happened, I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is the thing.
Oh, so you had already set that up. So So it was, and it still is, to be fair, a very pro-entrepreneurial environment here. So you found that it's something we're always fascinated by. As a non-Emirati, you found it easy to incorporate, and that process was smooth for you.
It was really smooth and also very, I think for me it was the efficiency.
Yeah.
You know, when you have opened up a business or set up a company in other countries, you know the tranche of paperwork you have to go through, the number of trips to whatever office to get whatever stamp.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the case here.
Yeah.
I loved how it was just, we need this. Everything was very automated.
Absolutely.
Very efficient. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it made it easy for me to kind of transition right into that. And I was like, okay, I've got the foundation.
Yes.
I'm registered. I'm not doing anything dodge. I'm registered so I can actually start doing a
fits
thing.
Within that sector.
Yes.
Which is good.
And I start doing a thing. And that's how I started. And what I did is I basically changed my CV into a profile.
Yes, that's
so I
very
just
smart.
did the pivot, and it was basically, this is my CV, and I can do this for you because I used to do this for these brands.
Yes.
So I basically positioned myself.
Like your CV was almost a business plan, a pitch.
Basically, it was that became my So I went in with every single ask for, I would love to do this, I would love to do that. I went in with, I used to do this, I used to do PR for this, I can, and whatever. Yeah. And I had a great roster of clients when I was in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
So it just made sense. I mean, all the big guys, did some PR at some level with them. So it was very easy for me to know what to say, to speak the language.
Pick up the phone and have that conversation.
Yeah.
So Travel Essence, obviously, I've had a look at the editorial. You focused quite a bit on sustainable travel, yeah?
Yes.
Can you elaborate a little bit on what sustainable travel actually is? Because there's a lot of variations of that.
Right.
But you guys look into that quite,
Right. So I think a big thing for me in terms of the content aspects of Travel Essence magazine, beyond the storytelling, you'll notice that a lot of our content is very brand focused.
It is.
It's really about the brands telling us, the readers, what makes them and their offerings so compelling.
Yes.
So you're not going to find in our pages a bunch of ads and cute promotional stuff. You're going to find a brand story of why. We want to understand why you're doing this.
Yeah.
Who is it for? Why? And what do you hope to achieve? And also, who are you benefiting? Right. So beyond the cool factor of jumping on a plane and the cool factor of doing these, staying in these fancy places, for me, the real, I always want to find the impact story in that whole thing. So, okay, this is a great spread that the chef has.
What's the differential?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is great that we're eating all of this in the middle of nowhere. We've got fresh produce.
Yeah.
How did it get here?
Yeah, exactly. It's the actual nitty-gritties of what it looks like. So I have noticed that.
Yeah.
It's really, really detailed in terms of what it goes into, and it's certainly not a fluff piece.
Yeah.
So it is different in that way, which is an interesting way to do it.
We want it to be educational and informative. We also want to conscientize readers and travelers on beyond how travel benefits me.
Sure.
It also benefits somebody else.
Yeah.
So the pillow that you're sleeping on, maybe the pillowcase was made by the granny in the village next door. And your tourism dollars are what are being used to build a school that the staff that are at the lodge are sending their kids to.
Yes.
So all of those things, I'm quite sensitive in when I reach out to brands and I want to do an editorial, an editorial on them.
Yeah.
I'm quite keen to understand the footprint component.
Understood.
I'm quite keen to understand when you're operating in this location, what is the impact on the environment?
Absolutely.
How are the people within that space benefiting?
Yes.
And also, does the guest that is coming in understand the value that they bring by just being there.
Absolutely. And when they do get you, is it going to mirror my experience?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how have you found, I mean, running a travel magazine and giving those experiences, being headquartered here in the UAE, how have you found that? Are people comfortable with you being, I mean, it's still a growing, not everyone knows about the jurisdiction. Sometimes if you're headquartered in the UAE, you might get certain questions.
Right.
How have you found the actual nuts and bolts of running the business?
I'll say this, Sheldon, I think one thing I can say from a business ownership perspective, if you are looking for your brand or your business to have a global presentation to it, this is certainly the right place for that. I don't know that Travel Essence magazine would have been as successful if I had started it in Zimbabwe, for example.
That's a great point.
And it's a very bold statement, but I feel that without a shadow of a doubt. I just don't know that I would. I think that's part of what makes us stand out. There's nobody that is curating travel content as heavily on the African continent out of this region than we are.
Why do you think it makes it sets you apart here? Can you elaborate on that? Is that just because of access? Is it because of the people? Is it a combination of things?
It's access.
It's fascinating.
There's one bit is the access component of it. So with everything that I do, and this could be credited to obviously working in PR and marketing, I always have the consumer mindset at heart.
Good.
So if I'm writing a story, I need to also write it not from the perspective of my experience as the journal, but from the perspective of the person that's going to read the story and be enticed or convinced to start looking at that location as a travel destination.
Absolutely.
So I'm very consumer centric in how I do things.
Okay.
I look at the entire 360, and that could be a marketing thing. We get a bit obsessed about what that looks like. So to answer your question and to peel it back to the Dubai piece, there's few places that are nearly as culturally diverse.
Absolutely.
Here. Not only from a cultural diversity aspect, but even from a socioeconomic diversity as well.
That's
right? So there's a little bit of something for everybody here.
That is absolutely true.
And you have to figure out where in that mosaic of everything you fit in.
So that's true. The interesting thing, so obviously we know Travel Essence, I know it through knowing you, and we came across it. How, in terms of your reach, how far does the reach of Travel Essence go right now? How many people are, and where are they finding you, and how are they finding you?
So our approach was basically to sort of target specific key source areas or destinations for our content, and grow from there.
Okay.
So of course, if I was to spell out our top reader nations for Travel Essence content, it's the typical the South Africa, Zimbabwe, Botswana, all our key safari destinations, Kenya, Tanzania, Malawi, all of those, right? And of course the UAE. So what we've done is we've segmented in the global, and then we've looked at Pan-African. So from a global perspective, it's obviously your UKs and your Americas, your Canadas, Australias, Turkey is in there, India is in there. We're growing in numbers and readership, which is really cool. We have some occasional surprises here and there, depending on what sits in the content and how we are also doing the back end promotion of our content. What I didn't anticipate was that it would grow in reach in as far as going beyond the African reader. Because when I started the magazine, I wanted to promote Africa.
Of course.
The big pivot for us was so people always ask me, how did you then figure out that Travel Essence, you were onto something? It was when we got a call from Dubai Tourism.
Yeah, I was going to say, because that's, you've essentially, from being quite Pan-African and focused, you've almost become an advocate for Africa.
Right.
Was that intentional? Was that... or was it...
When I going in, I wanted to do that. I wanted to tell the story of what makes Africa amazing.
And being in Dubai doing that is powerful.
It is.
Yeah.
And a big part of it, what triggered that mindset was because if you remember during COVID, everything shut except Africa.
Yes,
So people couldn't get to Asia, people couldn't get to Europe, people couldn't get to America because of the numbers.
Yeah.
Africa was the only one with no.
And you could still do exclusive travel.
And you could still do exclusive travel.
Yeah.
You could still, it would take you a schlep to get there, but you could still move. I remember laughing and saying Ethiopian Airways is like the continental bus. Because you could travel to 6 countries to get to where you're going.
Yeah.
But the point of it was that we were able to do that, and that whole notion of conscious travel and slow travel and wide open spaces came alive.
Okay.
It wasn't something that was heavy on the travel and trending scene in terms of those types of travel. And then when I started to see that, I thought, okay, we're onto something.
Yeah.
What we did well is we presented it well visually.
Yes.
And then we got a call to say, we love what you're doing. Can you do that for Dubai?
Wow.
And I said, of course.
Can I?
Say less.
Yeah.
So you'll find now we've got a nice little split. It's about 60-40 split between content in this region and Africa. So what we try to do is we try to bridge the gaps in content. So a lot of people, even in Africa, have they have limited understanding of what the Middle East, and it's not just everything. It's like,
So we as a firm do a lot, and you know this, we do a lot of business out of Africa.
Yeah.
Still, and being headquartered here. So I understand that balance, but it's still, I think, so you're essentially an advocate for both now.
Yeah.
Africa and...
I mean, I live here. This is home for me. It's been home for 13 years.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful country. It's awarded me lots of opportunities.
Same.
It's awarded me so many opportunities, and even just in terms of holistic living.
Yeah.
If I could use that term.
It's true.
I look at my children who are Dubai residents or UAE residents, but they go to school back home for boarding school.
Yes.
And they live a life of best of both worlds.
Okay.
I look at how Dubai is what London or or New York was to Africans,
Absolutely right.
10,
Absolutely
15
right.
years ago.
Yeah.
So now no one is talking, I want to go to Texas, I want to go.
No.
Now we're going to Dubai.
Yes.
We're going to the UAE, So it's really cool to be at the cusp of all of that.
And to witness it. Yeah.
It's really, really cool.
Amazing. So Yvonne, that gives us a good foot. What I want to know, and just to kind of tie a bow around everything, what does the future look like? What's the plans? You're going to stay in the UAE. You love it as a country. What does Travel Essence and Yvonne look like in the next 5 years, potentially?
It's a brilliant question.
Yeah.
So I'll say that one thing that is a big selling point, and I think even for you with your clients, is the accessibility aspects of Dubai.
Absolutely.
It has opened us to what we see as multiple possibilities. When you are in a corner of this part of the world,
yes,
it's a very different experience from being in Dubai, where it's so diverse that you could go to one part of town and feel like you're not in the UAE.
It's so
you know
true.
what I mean?
It's so
you can
true.
go to a friend's house and they're having a gathering that is tied to a cultural event and feel like you are.
Yeah, not only that, I don't think there's another place globally right now that allows that so many different nationalities that aren't even necessarily in Dubai or the UAE are comfortable transacting with.
Yeah.
So it's become such a business hub that it's almost saying, well, we're headquartered in Dubai or the UAE.
Yeah.
It's a comfortable client conversation, right?
It is. And you can, I'm pretty sure you can attest to this as well, because I do follow the trends of how many people are looking to migrate or move to the UAE.
Yeah.
How many people are coming here looking for jobs? How many people are coming here to set up their businesses and whatnot?
Yes.
How many people are traveling here for leisure, lifestyle opportunities, and so on. I do a lot of work even in the arts and culture sector here, and just to see how much talent has found the UAE as a launch pad for their careers to take on a global form. I think that's amazing that you can come in here as a South African artist and all of a sudden now you're booking gigs in Bodrum or in France because you first had a show.
I've seen it firsthand as well. Absolutely right.
So it's that place that it's not, I don't think it's easy. I think you have to have a certain level of grit about yourself to actually find your footing here. I think there's this misconception that you can just get on a plane and bring your little briefcase and set up your business. Oh no.
Yeah, it's not a lottery ticket. It's you have to actually have that grit. So that you see yourself here long term.
I do. Look, it's home for my children. It's home for me.
Yeah.
I love the efficiency of it. I love that I have the unique blessing of being so upwardly mobile.
Absolutely.
Every month I start my month and end my month somewhere on the continent, but I still bring it back home to here.
Okay.
I love that I have a family and a community here as well.
Yes.
I think a lot of things that motivate whether one stays or goes is feeling a sense of belonging.
Absolutely.
If you have a sense of belonging, it makes it, some of these other things, how long I'm going to stay, don't really become a topic of conversation.
Sure.
I appreciate the healthcare. That's beautiful.
I mean, it's quite unique that someone that travels as much as you do cannot wait to get back.
Yeah,
right?
I'm it's so funny because I think for me, when I'm here, I love when I'm here, but I can't wait to get back to Africa. When I'm in Africa, I can't wait to get back. So I really am grateful that my work allows me to enjoy the best of that. I also love that if we're to drill it down to my space, working with brands in tourism, hospitality, travel, is that there's a keen interest in the Middle East market now.
Yes.
So there's a lot of interest in, okay, this is an emerging market for us to do business. And we were really looking at the UAE and GCC to promote what we have on offer in Africa.
Yeah.
And it's really great to see really influential people that are actually now looking at going to South Africa on safari, going to Cape Town for, culinary experiences, going to, to the Okavango, going to Kenya, going to what?
It speaks to your work.
It does. So for me, it's really great to see that. It's also equally great, obviously, in the media space, I kind of get to see who's doing what. There's been countless times I've turned on the TV and I'm watching a local channel and there's an Emirati on safari. There's a couple of examples of that, and it's really, really cool to see.
That might be the Travel Essence doing
that.
Yes, right. Yeah.
But I just really love that we're seeing such a growth in exchange of content and information.
And it also speaks to the openness here.
Yes.
Which you said at the beginning.
Yes.
In terms of that welcoming nature and that nurturing nature.
Yeah.
And it helps us to try and run a global business from here.
It does.
That openness is incredible.
It does. And it makes it easier just for you to I think when we become examples of what drive and passion and delivery looks like.
Yeah.
It's very different from when you read a thing in a paper or you see a thing or whatever.
Yes.
There's no place, I always tell people that there's no place on God's green earth that doesn't have its stuff to it.
Sure.
Every single country has its pros and its cons.
That's a very honest view.
But we can certainly say that there's a lot of reasons why anybody would want to have some kind of touch points. I've got friends who don't live here but have their businesses here and they fly in and out of the UAE.
Yeah.
And it could be maybe then in manufacturing back home. So to move the entire operation has a cost component to it, whatever.
Yeah.
But I have countless friends who are the expansion planning is looking at here as their first point of call before they go anywhere else, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I think that's a good place to kind of wrap things up. It looks like an exciting future ahead. And of course, we'll stay in touch.
Of course, lots of storytelling. There's always stories to tell.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
We'll see you soon.
It's a pleasure. It's been good to hang out with you guys.
Cheers.
Ciao.